The trick to actually becoming someone who's on the road to success, not just somebody who talks about what they wish they would have done, but somebody actually achieving to get towards that goal, whatever it is, in any field. The trick is to make promises to yourself and then keep them. I can't express how important this is. Every single time you make a promise to yourself, you must keep it. You must make that a habit. I've talked before about getting rid of bad habits. This must become a habit. The fact that when you make a promise to yourself, you realize what's on the line. What's on the line is your life. It's like you're sitting down at a table to gamble, and the bet that you have up is your life. Every single time you make a promise, what I want you to realize is this. Every single time you decide to not do what you wanted to do, you're also making a promise. In other words, in your head, you've got a goal. You've got something you want to achieve. You've got a place you're trying to get in life. If you decide that day, well, no, I'm not going to do this. I want my life to be easy. I'm just going to go down this road. So you decided to not go down the road you want to go. You, in that case, are losing at the table. You are basically, your bet is your life, and you've lost that hand. It's guaranteed that you've lost the hand. Now, if you were to look at it like, I'm going to make a promise to myself to be better tomorrow because today, up to this point, I haven't done what I wanted. I haven't achieved what I wanted. But tomorrow, I'm going to wake up and do X, Y, Z. I'm going to get this done tomorrow. That's a promise you're making to yourself. All right? Just like actually deciding not to do something is also a promise. I promise not to do it. You're deciding to make a promise to do it. If you break that promise to yourself, it's another case where you lost that hand and the bet on the table was your life. It's your future. It's your everything. You can't look at it like that. It has no meaning. Far too many people live their whole life every day making promises to themselves that they break, that they don't follow through with. And these are usually things those people claim they want. They claim they want to be somewhere they're not. And in order to do that, they know they must do this. But yet when it's time to do it, they break the promise to themselves because of whatever reason. Maybe they're too tired. Maybe they didn't get enough sleep. Maybe they want to eat instead. Maybe they'd rather go out and hang out with their friends. It could be a million things. They break the promise they made to themselves. And then they wonder why they're not where they want to be tomorrow. And this is what I think that most people don't really put into their head, is the fact that they're losing such big hands every time they make a promise like that and break it. And it's the same hand that you're losing that much by actually telling yourself, I'm not going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do some safe option that doesn't have risk. You're also losing. So what you're basically doing is putting yourself in a hole that it becomes so hard to climb out of. It's a deep pit that you now are, every time you lose that hand at that table, it's like you're going deeper and deeper in a debt. You're basically $100,000 in debt, $500,000, $1 million in debt, $2 million, every time you break a promise to yourself. So trying to get out of that debt is impossible. It becomes so hard. Now, this is what I want you to realize is if you make those promises to yourself and then you keep them, now, all of a sudden, let me explain what happens. And it's very simple. Everybody negative thinking this isn't the way it works. It is the way it works. As soon as you make a promise to yourself and then you keep it, this is what happens. A shield, like a force field, gets put around you. It's almost like blinders. And they're there to protect you and help you. What they do is they shut out how far away you are from where you want to be. They don't let you see that. You can still see it if you seek it out and you bend or you move the shield out of the way and you work really hard to peek through it. But what I'm saying is don't just let that shield protect you. It blinds you from how far away you are from where you're going. And then all you have to do is keep those promises to yourself that you make every single day. You keep the promises. And then what will happen is you keep climbing out of the hole. That's all it is. You eventually, you're less in debt, less in debt, less in debt. You keep climbing out of that hole that you put yourself in from all those broken promises. And the best part is, if you just focus on keeping the promises, you can't even see how far away you are from really achieving what you want, because it doesn't even matter. And then you start picking up speed. And then all of a sudden you're out of the hole. Before you even realize it, you are on the goal, on the right track. You're on the right track to where you want to be. And it's so easy to do because that shield will protect you and stop you from thinking of all the stuff you messed up and all the time you wasted. It'll actually prevent you from thinking that way, which keeps you positive on the right track. That's the trick. The trick is people who are keeping promises to themselves are not depressed and sad, because that's what will happen if you break the promise to yourself. That debt, that hole you fall into is depression. It is sadness. That hole you fall into is this thinking you're never going to achieve because you couldn't even keep a promise to yourself. This is so huge to getting where you want to be, because every single time, and this is what I want you to realize too, is it never gets easier to not break a promise to yourself. Like, to break that promise is so easy to do. It is so easy to do. It never gets easier to keep the promise. All that happens is it becomes a habit that you keep the promise. The habit is just like anything else we do that's difficult, whether it's working out, training, anything that's hard, going out of your way for people you love, anything. If you make it a habit to do that sort of thing, you just do it. But it's not easier to do it when you do it. You just do it. It's just a habit. And that's what I kind of want everyone to know is, like, I'm not immune to this, and I'm not some, hyper being who doesn't experience breaking their own promises. I break promises to myself too. I wanted to do a video a day constantly. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but over the last week or so, there's been a little bit of a slowdown where I'm at like a video and a half. 1.5 days per video, let's say, for like the last week. And that's weird for me because I typically do like one a day, almost on the dot, for a really long time, something like 8 months. Now, as soon as this starts to happen with me, there's some stuff going on in my life. So that it made it where timing, I just didn't have it. I don't have enough with all the work I've been getting, which is great, and the family stuff going on. It's like I just wasn't having enough time to do what I needed. But what is that? That's an excuse. You got to find the time. You got to make time for the people you love, because they're in your life too, and you made promises to them, and breaking promises to them is just as bad as breaking them to yourself. The only difference is we actually make more promises to ourselves than we do to anyone else. And that's what I mean by you're making promises to yourself every day by the dozen. And everything you decide not to do, you're falling into a hole when you do that, and you don't realize the cost. It's your life. That's how big the bet is. It's not a little bet. People just brush it off. I'm tired. I'll go to bed. I won't do it today. Like what I'm saying is, I know from my own experience, even after 8 months, it doesn't get easier to not break these promises, because I made those promises to myself, and then when I break them, it makes me feel horrible. So I know from personal experience that sadness, that depression, that horrible feeling you get when you break the promises, that just makes it harder to go the next day and keep working hard and keep doing well. It just makes the next day harder. So you look at it like you're actually getting a rest, a break. I'm not going to work today. I'm going to do whatever. But all that does is make the next day and the next day and the next day harder on you, because you think it doesn't add up, but it's eating away at you. It's a sadness that's built in to us breaking our promise to ourselves. It's there. Whether you realize it or not, it will take a toll. It will add up. It will make it where you are now sliding back down this hole and this pit, even if you forced yourself to climb out of it by keeping all these promises to yourself. So no matter what, it doesn't get easier, but keeping the promises to yourself keeps you happy, and it keeps you knowing that you did all you could do, which keeps you on this positive path to doing well and being successful and being somebody who's a positive force to the world. As soon as you start breaking those promises to yourself, they add up to feeling like somebody who's not happy. You're sad, you're depressed. You're going to take it out on those around you who love you. It's going to drift into your work and make your work worse. So what I'm saying is this is just part of life that it takes years to understand. I didn't get this when I was young, and nobody talked to me in this way. So what I'm actually trying to do is give you the benefit of what I never had, which is this true understanding of the fact that if we don't work today the way we need to feel good tomorrow, it doesn't happen. You will never get where you want to be. And this is the other thing. No matter how long it's taken you to realize this, it doesn't matter. It's never too late for you to start trusting yourself. Start depending on yourself to make a promise and then keep it. And then you'll actually get where you're going. That's the thing I want everyone to realize, is it can happen for you no matter what age, no matter how old you are, no matter how much you have going on in your life and how little time you have. You know what you can do. You know, we all know, just like I know I can make a video a day. You know what you can do. No matter what's going on in my life, I know I can still pump out a video a day. You know you can do whatever you want to do and do the other things too that are in your life, because we all have obligations in some fashion, right? I know you can do it. You need to start knowing you can do it. You need to start trusting yourself. And that comes from continuing to make promises that you keep. You cannot break them. This is the trick. This is the tip. This is the key, no matter what success, what field you're trying to go into, especially as an artist or a creative person of any kind. I know from experience that I don't give myself a lot of credit. No matter what I do, I typically don't feel like I'm being successful. I don't feel like I'm doing as great as I can. And I know I'm not the only one. I heard Michael Brower talk about the same thing. In our business, like what we do, especially if you're mixing, you got to hit a home run every single time you do. Every single time you sit down to make something, it's got to be a home run. Nobody's going to understand that this one wasn't great. It needs to be great. So there's this thing that goes along with that where it doesn't matter how good the last thing you did was. If this one's not great, then you're not great. So that comes along with never really looking at what you've done as you are successful. And I guess what I'm saying is I'm not like trying to say that this is the right way or anything. All I'm saying is this is what I do, and it's not a good thing. I wish I could feel good about my accomplishments and what I've done. And the only way that I do is when I keep my promises to myself, because at least then I know I'm on the right track. I'm on the right path. I feel good, and I don't know why. All I know is I did what I said I was going to do, then I feel good. Whereas as soon as I break the promises to myself, I don't. That's what I mean. It's not like the accolades don't mean nothing. When you get people telling you you're great, that really only affects some people. Some people take that and they internalize it as they think they're great because other people are telling them. But what I'm really telling you is you need to rely on yourself to tell you that. Because no one else knows who you are. No one else can understand you the way you do. They don't know what you are. They don't know who you are, what you need to be you, what you need to feel good. They have no idea. So because of that, don't expect them to be on board with everything you're doing. Don't expect them to like it. Don't expect everybody to prop you up, to give you props, to give you help, to give you tips, to be like with you along the journey. They'll be along for the ride when you get successful. They'll want to jump on the wagon. But the point is, the whole time you're trying to do what you're trying to do, they won't relate. They don't get it. They're not you. Only you know who you are and what you are. Only you know. And because of that, you must give yourself this sense of satisfaction and happiness and accomplishment. You must give it to yourself. The only way we can give it to ourselves, especially those of us who like even if we're just comparing ourselves to yesterday, we still don't feel like we're actually accomplishing things, even when we are. The only way you give it to yourself is by keeping the promises. That's it. That's what does it for me. It makes me happy when I keep the promises. So keep your promises to yourself. It will allow you to get further and do more and be better. Don't rely on outside anything to give you what you need to give yourself that sense of, I did what I said I was going to do. That must come from you. You have no other place you can possibly get it from. And when you do start to give it to yourself, you're giving it to yourself based on what you did yesterday and what you did today, and what you did a week ago and what you did today. If you did look back on where you used to be and where you are now, you're just comparing you to you back then to now. Trust me, enough kept promises to yourself and it will make you feel good. You will be able to see that there is a progression. You have gotten better. You have been more productive. You have gone further than you ever did before because you kept all your promises to yourself. All right? I feel so strongly about this because without this, we have nothing. You could have all the drive in the world, be so driven today, and then tired tomorrow, want to break tomorrow, want to take a nap, go to sleep early. Let's just put this off. That's a normal thing for humans to experience, but it's not acceptable if you want to feel good about you. It's not acceptable if I want to feel good about me. I can't do that and feel good. So that's the truth. You want to feel good? You want to know you're on the right path to doing what you're supposed to be doing? Make promises to yourself and keep them. Because whether you make the promise or not, you're losing at the table every single time. You either break your promise to yourself or you decide to not make a promise to yourself, to avoid it. You can't avoid it. There's no getting out of this hand. You're sitting at that table whether you like it or not. There's no shot for you to avoid it. Whether you choose to make no promise or not, you are losing. And your life is at stake. So make no mistake, there is no more important conversation than this. I hope you liked it, and I hope it hit you. Because it had to hit me for me to get anywhere. And now I'm trying to give it to you. Throw something in the comments. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys soon. Evan Jaffe, Custom Cut Studios. You guys got this. Take it easy.